What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Juicy Jet podcast, live from Green Bay. I am your host, Kevin Rooney, and last night was awesome. So I needed to come on and recap everything that happened last night. We're going to try to keep this as quick as possible because I got to get to round two and round three, which is tonight. But just wanted to talk about the newest member of the New York Jets, Armond Membou. Talk a little bit about some of my winners and losers from the beginning of the NFL draft in round one here. Obviously, there's a long way to go still. And then talk about some of the players that you should keep an eye out for. The Jets pick, I believe we're 10 picks into the second round, which is pick 42. So there's some exciting stuff that's happening. But just to start, I am very happy with the Jets' first round pick, Armond Membou. I feel like we're building a wall. Like, when is the last time that we could walk into a Jets season and say, not only do we have a young offensive line where everybody's under the age of 30, but this could be one of our highest potential offensive lines we've had since 2015, since 2009, 2010. When you look at it, it's Olu on the left side, who's only 22, I believe, our first round pick from last year. You got John Simpson, who's still young. Need to extend him, of course. Joe Tippmann, who's only 3 years into his career at center, who's been playing really well. He's probably one of the best young centers in football. You got AVT at guard, who is coming up on his next contract, so he's only in his 25, 26 years old, and he's one of the best young guards in football when he's healthy. And then you got Armond Membou on the right side. And the good part about this is Armond Membou is not a natural left tackle that we're moving to right. He's been a right tackle. That's what he's played at Missouri. So he's kind of a weird build. He's 330 pounds, but not as tall for an offensive lineman, but he's got really long arms, and he's an athletic freak. He ran a 4.9 at the NFL Combine, and he's 330 pounds. You know how insane that is? And he just feels like a mauler. Like, this guy in the run game he'll crush you. And you'll see when he gets on the outside and he goes after some of those safeties and corners and linebackers that are smaller than him, he doesn't stop. He drills them into the ground, which is really cool. So I'm really excited to run the ball this year. I feel like we have an offensive line built to run, ground and pound like the good old days. Justin Fields might have more rushing yards than he has passing yards. Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis. I think it's going to be a lot of them as the spotlight of our offense. And then we're going to see what Justin Fields can do with the quick game to Garrett Wilson, whoever else our wide receivers are going to be, as well as our tight ends. And then every now and then you see that old chemistry from Ohio State where he can send a ball deep. So I'm excited with how this all shaped out. I know a lot of people wanted Tyler Warren. He actually he was the second tight end off the board, goes to the Colts at, I think it was pick 13. So I think the Jets read the board and value well with the way they took Membou. Offensive tackles went off the board really fast in this draft. I think 3 went in the top 10, which means they were a high commodity. People don't feel as highly about the ones later in the draft, so you got to get one now, and then you can get all the other positions later. So I'm very excited about the New York Jets. Very excited about Membou. His parents are also from Cameroon, so I'm excited to hear the whole backstory of how they came here and all of that kind of stuff. And he just seems like a really great guy. Post picking him, Aaron Glenn and Muji had their press conference just recapping, and Aaron was saying, like, this is the kind of guy we want. He's tough. He's a mauler. He's kind of like Penei Sewell, the right tackle for the Lions that they drafted while he was there, and is now the best right tackle in football. So one thing that was really interesting that Aaron Glenn did say is that he philosophically believes in building from the inside out. And we've talked about this before, building your offensive line and your defensive line first, and then everything else later. So that means your wide receivers, your tight ends, your running backs, your corners, your safeties, linebackers, all come secondary to the trenches. So I'm curious to see how that plays out throughout the rest of the draft. If that's his philosophy, maybe we're getting a little too jumpy on wide receivers and tight ends and in what we think is going to happen. But I was very happy with the pick, but now it depends on what happens with the rest of this draft. Now let's talk about the first round a little bit. There were some winners, some losers, some crazy stuff that happened. Craziest thing that happened was the Browns trade out a number 2, get a haul from the Jacksonville Jaguars to get to Jaguars go from 5 to 2. This GM in Jacksonville is a really young GM, comes from the Rams, so the Rams are used to just trading all their picks away and not caring in order to try to win a Super Bowl, and it worked for them. My thing is, I don't think the Jaguars have anywhere close to the roster that the Rams have had in the past. So, yes, they got a great player in Travis Hunter. But man, I don't know. Giving up that many picks and you have no first round pick next year now, that's a tough one. So, hopefully, Travis Hunter could play the two positions that would probably be your first round pick this year and next year to make up for it. So, it's really going to depend on what he does. From the Browns' perspective, that's a haul. You got another first next year. You got a bunch of picks the rest of this year. I think that sets you up to trade up anywhere you want for a quarterback next year in a class that's supposed to be better, where in this class we really only had Cam Ward. So Browns set themselves up for next year, but will the coach and GM survive until next year? That's going to be the big question. And then they got a great player in Mason Graham, who I love, at 5. The funny thing is, this draft went exactly as the Juicy Jet podcast predicted. Cam Ward, Travis Hunter. Then we went at 3, Abdul Carter to the Giants. Will Campbell at 4 to the Patriots. 5, Mason Graham goes to the Browns. I had him as Jacksonville, but they traded, but they still went in the same order. 6, Ashton Jeanty to the Raiders. And then 7, Armond Membou to the Jets. So we got the prediction right, which I was very excited about. I was a little nervous about the Jeanty one, but it worked out. He actually walked up right to me. I was standing right next to the Raiders fans when they picked him, so it was cool to get that up close to Jeanty and see his family and all that when he was so excited to get picked. So that was really cool. Other winners and losers. I know everyone was like, Shedeur should go to the Saints at 9. I actually really liked their pick of Kelvin Banks. I feel like they have to replenish that offensive line, and like I said, that's the way you build a team. So I thought that was actually a good move by the Saints. Other winners, we talked about the Colts getting Tyler Warren. I think that's a huge one for them at 13. They need that tight end, especially with a young quarterback like Anthony Richardson. So very excited for that pick. Let me think who else here. I didn't love how the Eagles traded up, but they also drafted a great player. I thought the Chiefs at 32 also got a really good player in a offensive tackle that could be the best tackle in the draft, but he just had a terrible knee injury in the middle of this past year. So it depends on how he comes back. But the Chiefs can afford to wait. Not a lot of these other teams can. So I thought that was interesting. Let's see, who else? Malachi Stark's going to the Ravens, so he gets to play with a great safety room with Kyle Hamilton already there. It seems like the rich just keep getting richer in some of these drafts. And then one of my favorite ones out of the entire draft, I think Bryce Young comes out of this as a winner. The Panthers get Tet McMillan from Arizona, a huge target for Bryce Young, so I think that's going to work out really well for him. So I think those are my winners. My losers, Jacksonville we kind of talked about. I wouldn't call them a total loser because I got one of the best players in the draft, but I'm very curious about what this means for them in the future, losing that first-round pick. Falcons. I don't know what they were thinking. They trade back up into the first round after already drafting earlier. I think it was 15 they drafted. They trade back up for Pierce, the edge player, but they trade a first-round pick next year to only come up, one round, and it's late in the first round. While the Giants just traded like 2 picks before them, and they didn't have to give up anything close to that to get back up into the first round and take Jackson Dart. So I don't know what the Falcons are doing. I mean, we all said this last year, and then it ended up working out with Michael Penix. So who knows? Maybe they know something we don't know. But that was a very strange one to me. I don't understand why they had to give up that haul just to move up, a half a round essentially. So that was a really weird one. The Buccaneers is a weird one too. They draft Emeka Egbuka, the wide receiver out of Ohio State. I love him. I think he's going to be a great player, but I'm very confused about the team building aspect of it. They have Mike Evans, who still has a couple of years left in him. They just re-signed Chris Godwin to a big deal, and he's coming off a major injury. So maybe it's, I don't know, to make sure that if he's hurt, we have someone to fill in. But he's exactly the same as Chris Godwin. They're almost the same player. But then they have a good tight end. They've got a good third receiver. So I don't really understand the team building aspect of this, especially when they need a defense, is what I felt like. So that one kind of confused me from the Buccaneers' perspective, but they got a great player. Like Emeka Egbuka is a really good player. Trying to think if there's anyone else that stood out as a winner or loser in this draft. I think everything else was pretty chalk. I didn't love the Cowboys picking Booker, the guard. I think it was way too early, and I also think they have so many other needs. So that was interesting, but hopefully they can get running back, wide receiver, pass catcher in the second and third round. All right, with that, I want to hop into what to look out for as a Jets fan in round two here mostly. I'll throw in some names for round three, but round two is the big one because so many good players fell. This was a big offensive line heavy first round. Two quarterbacks went. A couple receivers fell. All the corners fell. Almost a bunch of edge players fell. My guy Tyleik Williams unfortunately went in the first round, so I was sad that we're not going to be able to get Tyleik Williams in the second round. But here are some of the players that you should look out for. Number one is probably Nick Emanwari. He's the safety from South Carolina we've talked about. After Aaron Glenn said he wants to build from the inside out, I don't know if we're going to take a corner or a safety, but him and Will Johnson are still on the board. Will Johnson just coming off an injury. I think that's why he's falling so far. So those are two players to watch out for. Obviously, Shedeur Sanders is the big conversation. Shedeur, I thought that he was going to go to either the Saints, the Steelers, the Giants. None of them took him. So do the Browns take him with this first pick in the second round? I don't know. If he gets to 42, it's going to be so interesting to see if the Jets pull the trigger or if they want to wait till next year for a quarterback. I personally, if he got there, I would be very intrigued. I don't know if he wants to come to New York, but now I don't know if he has a choice because he just got passed by every team in the first round. So that's going to be a really interesting one. I'm not in love with him. I don't think he's that good. I'd rather take one in the first round next year, but you have no idea what next year is going to look like. So we'll see how this goes, but he could sit behind Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor for 2 years if he has to. So that'll be really interesting. Mike Green, another person on the board. He's an edge from Marshall, probably one of the best edge rushers in this entire draft, but I think he has like an outstanding assault. I think it's a domestic assault, something like that on his record. So I think that's going to scare Aaron Glenn away. I don't think he's going to go for him. Mason Taylor, the son of Jason Taylor, tight end from LSU, is still on the board. We need pass catchers, so tight end, wide receiver. Mason Taylor is one that's a perfect fit for what we're looking for. And it'd be hilarious to have Zach Thomas's godson and Jason Taylor's son on our team where they have to root for the Jets and wear Jets jerseys every week. I think that would crack me up. Luther Burden, wide receiver from Missouri. Another really good wide receiver that got inconsistent this past year. So it'll be interesting to see if we pull a trigger on him. There's a couple running backs there. I'm not going to mention them because I don't think they're a big deal. Probably my favorite wide receiver in this spot is Jaden Higgins, the wide receiver from Iowa State. Big target. It would be great if he falls to us. We'll see. Jalen Noellis is actually his teammate. He's another one that we could be looking out for. And then Jack Besh, wide receiver from TCU, which we've talked about a few times on this podcast. From the defense perspective, Nick Scourton, the edge from Texas A&M, is still on the board. I'd be interested to see if he's a really good player, so I'm interested to see if Aaron Glenn, takes a swing at it, or Darius Alexander, defensive tackle from Toledo. I actually think there's a lot of good defensive tackles, so if we don't take one here, we'll be totally fine. Same thing with tight end. Wide receiver is really where I'm leaning for this pick. I'm trying to see if there's anyone else that I haven't thought about yet. A couple safeties like Xavier Watts from Notre Dame. Kyle Williams, wide receiver from Washington State, but I think we're early enough and enough have fallen that we can get a good one. Alfred Collins, defensive tackle from Texas. Trey Harris, wide receiver from Mississippi. Just a couple people that we've talked about a few times on this podcast. So those are some of the names I'd look out for. Today's going to be a really interesting day. This is like a game changer for the Jets. We are not good at drafting in the second and third rounds. So if we can show that we can, or at least Muji can show that he can do this, this is a game changer for our team. We can start to build up the depth of our roster. We can get some starters out of these 2 rounds. So I'm very excited to see how today shakes out. And looking forward to it. I'm going to be in the inner circle again. So I think I got a little shout out on TV yesterday, but I think I'll be wearing the Sauce Gardner today with I got the chains on, so I'll keep the chains going. I got the Sauce chain and the Jets chain. I'm very happy that if you look behind me, I wasn't stuck in this crowd in the back. There was more people at the draft than there were residents of the town of Green Bay, which is insane. And it was a all Packer crowd. When Golden got picked by the Packers, which I think is a win too. That was a good pick, I thought. The first time drafting a wide receiver since like 2002 or something like that in the first round, the place went bananas. And the fact that he was here in person made it a really cool moment. So it was very exciting to see that happen, and good for Packers fans. They're all so nice here. Everybody is so nice to you. It's crazy. The only thing I got was a couple people making fun of me because of Aaron Rodgers, but that was it. But overall, I will recap the entire draft probably when I get back home. I won't do one tomorrow because I'm going to be going back to Milwaukee after round 2 and 3. And we'll just, by the time I do a podcast, the fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh rounds will be on TV already. So we will do it probably Sunday or Monday. But yeah, great first day for the New York Jets. Very excited for day two, and we'll see how we do. So if you want to keep following me, I've been posting some stuff on TikTok at JuicyJet25. And yeah, hopefully I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.